All right. So as you come to your mat today, I recommend having like couch cushions, lots of props, couch cushions, blankets, pillows, chairs, stools. I'm going to grab a couple of extra things over here. Don't worry, I'm not going too far. Um, so if you were with me earlier this week, Tuesday's practice was a lot of hip flexor lengthening. We're going to kind of continue on that journey. And that range of motion can be quite challenging for us in our modern day and age because of the way that we sit a lot in our chairs and our cars. So hip flexors have a tendency to be pretty tight. That doesn't always mean that they're strong. Oftentimes it means that they're tight and weak. So I want to keep that in mind as it pertains to thinking about how can I strengthen hip flexors. You could try Tuesday's restorative class to think about balancing the body in that way. There's other things that strengthen hip flexors in yoga, like Navasana, great way to strengthen the hip flexors. Um, Walking and running, weightlifting's always something I highly recommend incorporating into your life if you can. Setting that aside, today is about rest and relaxation. We are having a restorative practice. So I want to make sure you have the appropriate level of props for your body. Okay. Um, let's just start out seated. Actually, I'm going to come back to my little cushion here so that we can kind of check out the hip flexors. So if you come to a seated position, whether you're sitting cross-legged or you're sitting up on your shins, notice the relationship between the knee joint and the hip joint. So my hips are fairly open. I do this for a living. I'm always practicing, okay? So you can't really compare your body to mine, but I just want you to notice the relationship. If the knees are really high, hip flexors are probably pretty tight. And that might not be the only thing that's tight, but I want you to support your knees with props so that the muscle tissue around that can start to relax. And eventually they'll settle. Eventually. Might not be today. Let's have a brief breathing exercise. So I invite you to close your eyes and just start to move through the head, the neck. Just kind of move the head side to side a few times. It's really important to utilize the breath in our restorative practice in particular. So start to tune into your breathing today. Do a few rounds of Samavriti breathing. Equal inhale, equal exhale. I'll count the inhale for 5 counts. I'll count the exhale for 5 counts. So we're just trying to match that breath ratio. Inhale matches exhale. Let's empty all the air out of the lungs. Begin to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try that twice more on your own, counting your breath. And count your breath silently. The bottom of that next exhalation, let go of the counting. We're going to start to draw some circles with the shoulders. So move the shoulders down, side to side, round out your back as you go back. So you're just like drawing circles with the shoulders, moving all the way around. One more time in this direction. And then we'll pause, we'll sit up nice and tall, and we'll go the opposite way. One more time, all the way around in this direction. And then we'll sit up nice and tall, just a few neck circles. So all the way around, a few neck circles. And then pause and go the opposite direction. You get to find your own range of motion. So be gentle with your neck. One more time around. All right, so we'll set up our first hold. This is going to be a low lunge, and we're prepping our hip flexors for something that is progressive in our low lunge. So your low lunge doesn't need to be your deepest, widest, lowest lunge. You're going to add your props underneath your hands, underneath your forearms, maybe padding underneath your back knee so that your low lunge is supported. All right, so let's bring the right foot forward first. And then I want you to widen that right foot out to the side. And I like to turn my toes off the mat. So there's a little bit more external rotation through that front hip. You could explore that. And then two hands at the top of the mat. Before you sink into this, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, wiggle that leg back. So left leg is completely straight. Then set your left knee down onto your props. You can choose to untuck the toes here in that back foot if you like. And then stay up on your hands for these first few breaths. Just start to breathe a little bit deeper. I'm going to set us the timer here. And we'll be here for about 3 minutes. Okay, so again, you can explore neck circles, head circles. You can explore swaying the body side to side. When you're ready to get a little bit lower, maybe you add props underneath your hands and your forearms, and then you could start to walk down onto your forearms. So this is where like doing this in front of your couch or your bed or a pile of blankets or pillows is really helpful because you can just rest your body, your upper body there on those props. Most likely there's going to be sensation in both front hip and back hip, just in different areas of the hip joint around the surrounding tissues. So notice where you feel that in the front right hip. Notice where you feel it in the back left hip. And then the surrounding area, maybe low back, maybe glutes, maybe some quadricep muscles. I just want you to notice where you're feeling things. And see if you can relax through your head, neck, and shoulders. You relax through your head, neck, and shoulders. There's probably going to be a relative amount of discomfort in this position. This is a pretty deep hip stretch, and probably for both hips. So we have about 3 more slow breaths here. And then we're gonna, if you're down on your forearms, you're gonna start to walk back up. Before we head into our next shape, here's what we're doing. We're shifting the weight back. Okay, so you're shifting the weight back, extending through the right leg, so hip over that left knee. Take a few breaths there. You're just going to hold that for about 3 more breaths, okay? Just making sure settings are right if you're noticing me up in your face. All right, we're going to set up. Remember, this is progressive, okay? So here's where we're going. Right now, we're like in this half split shape. We're going to keep going all the way back. So you're going to see if you can shift your hips all the way back towards that left heel and sit down inside of your left heel bone. Ideally, this ankle, this left ankle, is fully extended. It's flat. So top of the foot is flat, toes are pointing straight back behind you. This is a lot on the knee and the ankle joint. And so if you need support underneath your hips, this is why I say, make sure you have lots of props close by. You add height underneath your hips. Okay, so you can add as much height underneath your hips as you need. Don't be shy about that. And then if you're gonna want to lean back, first you have to work with the ancillary ankle and knee joint. But if you're gonna want to lean back, this is where it starts to become a little bit more quadricep hip flexor. So you can lean back to, again, doing this with a couch cushion behind you, a couch itself, a stool. It's great because you can just lean back and rest your elbows on that. Some of you are going to be able to go all the way back and lay on your back. What I'd recommend, though, I'm going to get a little bit more forward in my mat so you can see this option. If you've already come to a place where you're like good and you're holding it, feel free to stay there. So 3 minutes in this shape. If you want to practice, if you want to try lying back, I recommend adding height underneath the spine and the back of the head. So I'm just sliding piles of cushions just behind me. So when I lay down, when I see about laying down, first I'm coming down to my forearms. And then I'm laying all the way back. Now, for me, when I come back into this shape, my left knee kind of lifts up off the floor a little bit, and that's okay. I like to bend my right knee and plant the right foot. For some of you, it might work to keep that right leg extended. For some of you, it might not. So I give you a lot of options. Okay, so remember, you can always sit up in this shape. You do not have to lay back. Please have something behind you supportive, like an armchair, a stool, a couch, a pile of blankets, a pile of pillows. You can also just practice sitting upright in the center of the room. That's totally fine too. If you are laying all the way back, just make sure that this is sustainable for the knee and the ankle joint. And instead of feeling the majority of the sensation in the joints, can you feel that in the quadricep and the hip flexor? You've got to work through whatever's tightest in the body first, though, in order to start to work into those deeper tissues. That's why it really starts with ankle mobility. You get your foot flat, the top of the foot flat. Can you get your toes pointing back behind you? If not, that's where you're working first. Okay. So let go of what the shape looks like. Maybe even close your eyes. Bring your awareness to where you're feeling sensation. Breathe in and out through the nose. Got about 3 more breaths here. You're all the way on your back, really slowly. Be gentle with yourself. Make your way back up to a seat. And then if you did bend your right knee, extend it forward. Extend through your right leg. I want you to roll all your weight onto your right hip first so that you can free your left leg without any weight on it. And then just go ahead and shake out your legs. Shake out your legs right and left. Take your hands, rub out your left knee joint. This does scientifically send blood flow, just the touch, send more blood flow into the knee joint, which is so helpful because in our joints, there's not as much blood flow because they're not muscle. And blood flow is helpful for healing. So that's why touch is so, so, so important. Like getting massages regularly, getting body work regularly, and getting comfortable with your hands on your body. All right. So, second side. Again, we're starting off with our low lunge. So, we might need to rearrange our props. I'm just going to turn around and face the opposite direction because all my props are here. So, left foot's going to go forward first. Left foot's going forward. You can play with turning the left toes off to the side. Before you sink deep into your lunge, I want you to tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, wiggle that leg back until your back leg is straight, and then set the knee down. Okay. So here we are in our lunge. We're starting to deepen into this a little bit more. Maybe stay up on your hands at first and just let yourself kind of wobble side to side. Breathe. Breathe deeply. Breathe through the nose if you can. When and if you want to, are able to explore getting a little bit lower, props underneath the hands or underneath the elbows and the forearms. You can walk down. And then see if you can relax the upper body here. Relax the head, the neck, the jaw, the shoulders. It's like you did on the other side. You might notice where you feel sensation right now. In both hips, in that back hip, the right side, which is back. You feel this in the hip flexor, quadricep muscles, front of the thigh. In the leg that's forward, that left hip, maybe in the glute, the hamstring, or the inner thigh, or all of the above. We'll take about 3 more breaths here. Okay, if you're on your forearms, start to walk back up to your hands. We'll shift the weight back, lengthening out. So coming into a half split pose. Lengthening out through that left leg. And just take a few moments here, breathe. Okay, so from our half split, we're going to see if we can continue in that direction, setting the hips down inside of that right ankle. Can you get your right ankle flat, top of the foot flat, toes pointing back behind you? This is the first step in seeing about progressing or adding props. Okay, so if this isn't going to happen, then what do? We add height underneath our sits bones. We add props underneath our sits bones. So we're taking less weight onto the ankle joint. We're not forcing it, but we're supporting it. Then we might start to gather up props behind the spine. Remember, it's okay if you want to lean back, you're leaning back onto a prop. The floor is not always going to be accessible, and that's okay. I urge you to, especially in your restorative practice, because if not here, then where? Support your body with props. That's what it's for. We'll be here for about 3 minutes. Just settling back into a shape that's sustainable. Maybe that means staying upright. That's okay too. But again, just like before, can you relax your upper body, shoulders, neck, jaw? Yes, there might be some discomfort in the lower body, especially. There might be some discomfort in the knee. There might be some discomfort in the ankle. But the majority of the stretch, especially if you're laying back, should be kind of in the muscle tissue, quadricep muscle up towards the hip flexor. We're about halfway through our shape, so knowing that, you could choose to deepen your shape, you could choose to add more props. You could choose to refocus your attention on your breath.